Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The guys are here, the chat is ready, and the conversation starts now.
What's going on, football fans? We're back live once again with another rendition of the Pound for Pound ATL. I'm one of your hosts, J.R. Clark, joined by my main man, Toby D. What's going on, Toby? How you doing, brother?
Hey, man, we took a tough one on Sunday, but I think a lot of us expected for us not to really probably take this game away. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say I was 1-1 and even thought remotely we was winning this game. But it was a chance for the Falcons at least to stay in the hunt. What's going on with you?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I went into this thinking, okay, like, you don't match up well with the strengths of what, the 49ers can bring. Your O-line had a, stellar game against, stellar for them, against the Panthers, and that might have gave you a little bit of hope, that maybe they were starting to turn the corner, but Nick Bosa and Arden Key put a damper on that one. To the tune of 3 sacks, 27 QB pressures out of 35 dropbacks. That's crazy. It just reminds you yet again that our offensive line is nowhere close to where it needs to be, and is still like an infuriating aspect that we're not. I don't know, like, I'm of two minds of it. Part of me is like, okay, let's get Jalen Mayfield out of there. Let's get, Caleb McGarry and whoever else out of there, and try, a Josh Andrews or try a, Cody Gossett. But, these coaches, they see these guys week in and week out at practice, and I assure you, I feel like if they thought that those guys gave us a better chance, they would have put them in by now. So that maybe I don't know if it's just like we've put Jalen Mayfield in there, might as well, ride it out through the whole season. I don't know, man. Like, it's to a point where, like that one play that was floating around on Twitter of Arden Key's, either sack or I think it was a sack. Like, Mayfield didn't even get a hand on him, and that's ridiculous for him not to be able to even get a hand on him, and
right.
And Bosa seemed to like just live in our backfield in that game. It just echoes what I said a couple weeks ago of, this team goes the way of the O-line.
Right.
But with that being said, Matt Ryan still had a decent enough game as far as, 230-something yards passing. You had Russell Gage get close to 100 yards receiving. Kyle Pitts had 70-something yards on I'm going to get these stats pulled up because I should have had them pulled up before we even really got going. So, but I hate when trying to not have the right numbers.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, like I said, Russell Gage had like 91 yards and a touchdown in that game, which was a fantastic touchdown, by the way. You can't
that was
take that away from him.
That was a beautiful touchdown. Like I said, Kyle Pitts had 77 yards on 4 receptions. Like, so, like, he was definitely getting him some chunk plays. Passing, we had a decent enough game. Still within that attempt ratio that you wanted, 32 attempts.
Right.
But you just couldn't get nothing going this week in the run game. After 3 weeks in a row of getting over 100 yards rushing, you had, 80 yards, and 20 of those was Matt Ryan.
Right.
Right. You don't want that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the bigger story there, JR, was that 1 and 5 in the red zone, man. I mean, you really took yourself out of the game when you couldn't punch it in at any of those moments And we talked about this finesse thing, and Arthur Smith was asked about it, but we've seen it time and time again. And it's another indication that this offensive line is just not ready consistently with Matt Hennessy leading the charge at the center position to help any running back at this moment in time punch it in from the 1 yard line. I mean, you had an opportunity on a special team turnover from the Atlanta Falcons and on the first, important play of the game, and you couldn't punch it in all 4 times. You got stopped. That was a missed opportunity. But even then, you had Jimmy Garoppolo and his offense backed up. Still, after you missed that opportunity, you had another opportunity with great field position after you was able to keep Jimmy them from, on their first drive, driving it, and you still couldn't get any opportunity. So it's been a theme of missed opportunities all season long. And when you don't have that team that's built to create opportunities for themselves after you miss opportunities, then things like that continue to happen and you lose those games. When they didn't own the time of possession. Really, they was only beating you by 30 seconds maybe.
Yeah, like 29. Like we had 29-33. They had 30-27.
Right.
And so the biggest difference that you see was like, your third down efficiency was pretty much on par. You missed like 3 fourth down attempts.
Sure.
And you couldn't get any pressure whatsoever on Garoppolo. Like none. He passed to the tune of 397 yards. No, excuse me. He passed for
like
235.
Yeah, it was right there with Matt Ryan.
It was 235, right? And so, but the biggest difference was, the run game in this aspect. Jeffrey Wilson, whoever that guy is. Boy, if there's one thing you could say about Shanahan, he could take a guy you ain't never heard of and run it down your daggum throat.
Hey man, like father, like son.
I mean who is Jeffrey Wilson?
Exactly.
And Joker's gonna run for 110 yards.
Sure did. I mean, and that's what he does, because he has this. Like I said, his father, like son. Man, they have a running back friendly scheme to where guys go down, somebody else steps up, and they handle business, and that's what happened. They basically broke the Falcons' wheel, and you saw that in that third quarter. The Falcons' defense just ran out of air.
Yep.
And the 49ers smelt it and ran it till you end the game. I mean, that's just, that's what you're supposed to do as a dominant running offense. That's what you're supposed to do.
And you can tell, like, by watching the game, that's what Arthur Smith is trying to bring here.
Right.
He doesn't, like, okay, if you can, I don't know who you want to lay the blame at or whatever. People are already trying to start to, lay blame at Smith's feet or at Fontenot's feet or whatever. But, until he gets the right offensive lineman or these offensive linemen, like, get it figured out, like, he's not going to have a consistent run game.
No.
That's the bigger, like, first and foremost, like, I hope, I hate to say this, but I hope they move on from Mike Davis. I have not been impressed with Mike Davis. You can blame the offensive line, which I do for a lot of it, but a near and 30-year-old back, I'd much rather throw fresh legs at it, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I feel it.
I'd much rather throw fresh legs at it. 21 yards on 6 carries, just, I mean, that don't do nothing for me. And unfortunately, this was not a good run game for Cordell Patterson.
No, it wasn't.
Like this is like a game like this is what I worry about with wrapping your entire offense around Cordell Patterson, is that, he's going to have to produce 18 yards on 11 carries.
Right.
That's what you get, from a 30-year-old special teamer that's forced into a complete starting role for the first time in quite a long time in his career. And good on him for being the best player that we've had so far this year.
Right.
Like, I ain't taking that away from him as far as, but I would love to bring him back but I would love to bring him back in the original role that he was designed for here.
Yeah.
The 4 or 5 plays a game kind of, role, whether it be in the backfield or split out. Like, I just don't think he's got the juice to have the entire offense strapped to him game in and game out.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that point. He doesn't need to be a guy that's out there 25, 30 times in a game. If you use him right, you'll get the production out of him that you want. And they unfortunately had to rely on him because, I mean, nobody else is really stepping up. And you now see them trying to, shout out, no disrespect to Russell Gage, but Russell Gage is not a number one wide receiver. But yet they're trying to force feed him into being that, first of all, number one read for Matt Ryan and the number one wide receiver. Now, he has some spectacular plays on Sunday. I will not be able to take that away from him at all. But this is not a guy that any defense is going to be scared to go to sleep at night after thinking about Russell Gage. It's going to be a short afterthought because he doesn't scare you in that regard as being a number one guy that's going to really threaten you. And that's the part that kind of disappoints me about what Arthur Smith and them are doing in that decision to try to make this guy that number one guy. And one of the problems I have with Russell Gage, as spectacular as the catches were, his issue is he cannot get his timing down with Matt Ryan in those play action passes. He's wide open and he's dropped them 3 weeks in a row when Matt Ryan has come off the play action fake and thrown it to him clean in the middle of the field with nobody there. He dropped the pass with nobody contesting it at all. And that is an issue moving forward. You can't do that and be a number one wide receiver and drop play action passes when they're wide open.
Right. No, I completely agree. Like, somebody said about a week or so ago about, bringing Russell Gage back. I'm bringing him back at like number 3 money at most. Like, I'll bring him back for, continuity's sake, because I really feel like, the team may know something that we don't know in a sense, because as I do from time to time, I was perusing the clearance section of Fanatics, trying to see what I could catch on a deal, some swag or something, and anything that had Calvin Ridley's name on it was marked way down. It was marked down to a point where Julio's stuff is marked down, Todd Gurley's stuff is marked down.
Right.
And I have never seen an active player have their anything marked down like that.
Right.
Like, you can't even buy John Kaminsky stuff that cheap. Now, granted, they're not printing John Kaminsky T-shirts, but you see what I'm getting at here, So that kind of struck me as, odd in a sense. Like, it wasn't everything. You couldn't get a Calvin Ridley jersey for next to nothing, but these Calvin Ridley T-shirts were going for like $7 and $8, which is crazy, So that's something that's gonna have to be addressed. But again, that's something I want to address in the free agent market.
Yeah.
Same thing with the offensive line. And the reason why I say that, unless they decide that they're pulling whatever plug on Ryan and not caring about cap implications, then I'm not trying to waste time for a rookie to figure out how to play in the NFL. Not on that side of the ball. You already have that right now with Kyle Pitts.
Right.
Somebody asked, like, we're not done with our opening salvo, but I'm going to read this question anyway from Tony Lambert. He said, hey, guys, what do you feel like is the biggest reason why Kyle Pitts only has 1 touchdown in the season?
Mm-hmm.
To me, my biggest thing is he's still trying to figure out, like, how to fully get open in those tight places, in the NFL. Matt Ryan is still, like, trying to make sure that he can trust him to hit him there.
Mm-hmm.
And as it has shown, Ryan's a little easier to trust a veteran than he is necessarily a rookie. Now, he'll trust him, like I say trust him. I'm just going by what it appears to me. Like going up and down the field, sure, but once we get into the red zone, then it's like I need to go to somebody that I got complete faith in.
Right.
And if you want to call that a character flaw for Ryan, fine, that's a character flaw. We all got them, you know. But what I don't need is another, another high-end skill position rookie that we have to deal with that on.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I agree with your train of thought there about him having to get still an understanding of how to get open down in the red zone, because that's exactly one of the issues that he's having. When you're in college, man, he can kill those guys. I mean, the moves that he would use would work on a lot of those guys because he's at the college level, and he was clearly better than a lot of those guys he was facing. This is the NFL, and even down to the lowest guy, he understands the NFL. He's been in the NFL, and he knows how to still be able to defend against you in the NFL. And Kyle Pitts hasn't put that together yet with his speed down there in the red zone as opposed to between the 20 and the 20. And that's the part he's going to have to wait, unfortunately, to the offseason to get that part down, because he can't do it right now. So they're going to have to wait in that regard. But I do believe he'll figure that part out and understand that the speed is much different down there in the red zone. And it's much tighter down there. And Matt, I think right now just doesn't trust that he's going to be able to run the routes that he needs for Kyle Pitts to run, because you have option routes down there in the red zone area too. And they have to be on the same page with that and what Matt sees and what Kyle Pitts sees. And that'll be an off-season thing that they'll get. But, I mean, it is shocking that he only has one touchdown, but we do have to keep in mind some of the greatest guys, and unfortunately, D'Orlando Ledbetter beat me to the punch. They didn't have a lot of touchdowns their first year. Tony Gonzalez, I think, only had 2 touchdowns his first year in the NFL when he came in the league in '97. Antonio Gates only had like 1 or 2 touchdowns when he came into the league. But Kyle Pitts, guys, whether we understand it or not, is going to potentially be your one and only 1,000-yard receiver for the Atlanta Falcons. You're trying to force feed Russell Gage into being that 1,000-yard receiver. I do not see that happening right now. He's at 555 yards and 3 touchdowns. That he's going to get 500-something more yards with 3 games left to even justify him being your number 1 guy. I would be riding on Kyle Pitts' coattails right now, but that's not what the Falcons are choosing to do. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and they definitely seem to have outside of Jalen Mayfield, they seem to be taking a almost like kit glove approach with a lot of these rookies,
right?
And a lot of these second-year guys. This first year with this coaching staff, they seem to be leaning more on vets where they can.
Yeah.
Because it takes Eric Harris going out for Hawkins to get put into the lineup on a starting basis, and I still think Grant didn't have a ton of playing time. After Dean Pease spent all that time talking up Grant as being a crucial part of the nickel, nickel packages, and I mean, unless you're just saying that San Francisco ran the ball more, than what you were anticipating, because like I said, Jimmy Garoppolo only attempted 23 passes. So if that was the reason why you weren't in nickel, because they weren't, trying to air it out, and that's why Grant was sitting down. But it's so funny, to me, it's funny that you spend all that time talking about, Grant and the nickel, and then his snap count was lower than Sean Williams, who was just playing on the practice squad.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the San Francisco ran the ball, I think, to tune like 32 times in the game. At this time, the game is pretty much salted away, and they pretty much, like I said, they broke the will of the Falcons defense. You can tell that the defense kind of just gave it all up at this point. The score is out of hand. They're running the ball on you at will. So, I mean, there's no need in having a nickel guy on there when they're running the ball down your throat at will, already up 31-13. Basically in the third quarter.
Right, exactly. So that is pretty much our opening salvo on the San Francisco game. Chat's kind of light tonight, but we're going to jump into it anyway.
All right.
So get y'all's comments in there. But we got Willie Doc in the house tonight. What's going on, Willie?
Hey,
Same thing with ATL Camacho. He says, P for P, what's up? What's going on, ATL?
what's up?
Bug says, Merry Christmas. That's right. Merry Christmas to everybody. For all of you who are joining us tonight on this Christmas week, we appreciate you being here and taking time to chat with us. Woon Carter is in the building as well. He says, rise up, pound for pound family. Best of the worst, JR, on the Lions on Sunday. That's what it's looking like. You know, we vying for the title of best of the worst this season. King 7's in here tonight. How'd I know King was going to be in here? We have a bad game and King shows up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you, King. He says, I keep telling people we're not a good team. Always shows who we are against real competition. He said he's ready for the draft. Yeah, I mean, if any of y'all follow me on Twitter, I'm already putting out like draft profiles on running backs that I've been scouting already. So yeah, you know, I'm kind of in that boat as well. A lot of my attention has been turned to the draft. I don't know if any of y'all saw it or not, but I secured my tickets to the Senior Bowl in February. So we'll be bringing you content about the Senior Bowl this year. Pretty excited about that. Let's see. Nate says, this season was just a learning process for everybody, but we're still good for what we have. I believe next season will be a little bit different. This offseason and draft will say a lot. This offseason is definitely going to say a lot. You know, how they address this offensive line, how they address this wide receiver room that we got going on right now. There's so many holes that need to be addressed, and how they address them is going to tell you a lot about. It's going to tell you more about how they view this team versus what their words are going to tell you how they view this team.
Right.
King says we are going to be bad for a while unless we have an amazing draft. Another thing that we're not looking at is the future because Ryan's not good enough, I guess, for a rebuild. We have no one to take over. He says also our O-line our D-line bullied for the first time I've seen Grady get worked. That's the aspect that you have to worry about as far as like a full-scale rebuild. Like, is it a deal where you keep Ryan around while you're rebuilding to stay somewhat competitive in games? Because I tell you right now, I don't care what y'all's feelings about Matt Ryan are, a rookie is going to look absolutely horrendous on this team. And my perfect example is y'all's boy Justin Fields up in Chicago. For all the talent in the world that he has, and he has talent, and he was probably, you know, the most talented, or could arguably be considered the most talented quarterback that came out in that draft. Right now, him and Trevor Lawrence are getting absolutely worked because their teams are in horrible positions. Right now, the best-looking quarterback from last year's draft is looking like Mac Jones, the one that everybody wanted to scoff at.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because he went to a team that just spent $100-something million in guarantees in the offseason and had a fully established coaching staff that had been there for multiple decades. So the situation you go into has as much, if not more, to do of how you look as a rookie QB or as a young QB. So I would imagine that most of y'all, if you're realistic about it, would want them to continue to build this team before we go get the QB of the future. If y'all want to look at it in a sarcastic, cynical way, y'all can look at it like this. Matt Ryan's done made a ton of money off this team. He can take a butt whooping for a few years while we rebuild it. If that's how you cynical people want to look at it. You know, Matt Ryan's made a ton of money from the Atlanta Falcons organization. So if y'all want to be cynical, you can say, fine, he can take the butt whooping while we rebuild the O-line. Because,
yeah,
you know, I mean, that's not the way I'm choosing to look at it, but it was something that I was thinking about the other day, and I was trying not to have a, like, super negative truck thought, because that's what was rolling around in my head on Monday was, fine. Let him take a beating while we rebuild everything.
I mean, he's definitely taking a beating. And
Yeah.
this the most frustrating I've seen Matt Ryan in all the years Matt Ryan has been an Atlanta Falcon. And he's voiced it time and time again. I mean, he over there snapping over there to the sideline to Arthur Smith and him during that San Francisco 49ers game because he's frustrated right now. I, you know, I don't think they have a choice but to keep Matt Ryan for one more year, at least. But it could become a situation where Matt Ryan may decide to mutually split ways if he's not happy after this year. I mean, the man still clearly believes he can play. But if you're going to be still behind an offensive line that can't block and protect for you and still allowing you to be the most hit quarterback in the NFL, there's no way you can continue to stay here. I mean, and that's just my feelings. If Matt Ryan decided, hey, you know what? I've decided. He goes in Terry Fontenot's office and Arthur Smith and tells them, look, man, I love this Falcons organization. I love what you guys are trying to do here, but I would like to be given the opportunity to go somewhere where they are in a win now situation.
Yeah, because I mean, look, I know like in the offseason, and it's one of the few times that I feel like not that I owe everybody an apology, so to speak, but I feel like it's like, in a sense, I was wrong in how far off I really thought we were. Like, not that I didn't. It's really hard to quantify, like, because my thoughts were, if everything breaks right, we could be competitive quickly. But that was apparently a bigger if than I thought. That was a 10-foot if versus a 5-foot if. Because, whether it's an unwillingness by the coaching staff, I figured by this part of the season, you would have had, Richie Grant installed as the starter, that you would have been making different decisions by now. And I also thought that the O-line was going to perform better. Like, my opinion shifted hard those 2 preseason games I went to.
Yeah.
When I came out of those 2 preseason games, I was like, we ain't there. Like, watching our backups get absolutely worked by everybody else's backups.
Right.
Informed me a lot of what I needed to know. And I readjusted my opinion, like, big time. And y'all are going to see a definitely different type of, tone and coverage this offseason with that knowledge in hand. If you're re-signing guys like Deron Harmon again, and and you're re-signing,
better not.
like Fabian Moreau, you can bring Fabian Moreau back, but you also better bring in some competition.
Yes.
Like some legitimate competition, right?
Yes.
That's my that's kind of my deal there, so that's where I'm at right now. And like I said, if Matt Ryan were to say that that he wants to go somewhere else, I wouldn't blame him. But they better figure out some way to reap something out of it, whether it's a draft pick or what have you. I mean, if last year showed you anything, teams like the Rams or whatever, like a team like Washington, who has a good O-line in place, who has a solid running back, who has some who are basically just a quarterback away, may be willing to deal with you.
Yeah.
A team like the Giants, who may not necessarily want to take another swing at a rookie quarterback right away. I don't know what kind of compensation you get and how the cap part really works. But, I got King 7 over here talking about Deshaun Watson.
Ain't nobody, listen, we don't know what Deshaun Watson does.
Ain't nobody touching Deshaun Watson until all that stuff gets settled. You know what I'm saying? Like ain't nobody touching. That's why he's still on the Texans and still getting paid to sit on the bench.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, he's like, King 7 says, Watson. He wants to be here. No, first, you don't know. Like he said, the only place I know that he said he wanted to be was Miami.
Miami, right.
Okay.
Exactly.
And so they ain't telling you he wants to be here. And right now, until he gets his situation settled, ain't nobody touching him. That's why he's still on the Texans.
Nobody, no, not right now.
Because you see, the thing is, the Texans are choosing to let him sit on the bench and play because he's not on any kind of exempt list. That means he could play today.
Yep.
That means had the Texans traded him, he could have played.
You all right.
So, yeah, it's like nobody's touching him right now. Nobody's touching him right now. And so, let's jump back. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No,
I was
go
going to
ahead.
jump back in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. Going back up to Trav. Let's see here. Where did I leave off at? Michael Walker says, after Tony, Roddy, and Julio, Matt hasn't had multiple red zone options. Maybe the Super Bowl year was the last time. And that's you could point to that. He hasn't had a, stellar, like you had, like not last year, but the year before with Calvin and Julio. That was a good combo. But yeah, past that, it hasn't been extremely stellar. Dave says, what's up, guys? What's going on, Dave?
What's up, Dave?
True Block says, happy holidays and rise up. Mark Keith Miller says, in your opinion, what should this team do with the D-line in the offseason? First and foremost, you can let Dante Fowler find his way wherever else he wants to go.
Yeah.
One of the guys that I'm intrigued by in the draft is David Ajobo out of Michigan.
Yep.
Like if you end up with a top 15-ish pick and he's there, I'd take him and I'd double dip myself at that pass rusher spot. Throw him in there with Ogundeji and see what you can produce.
Yeah.
But that's what I would do on the D-line. Try to extend Grady Jarrett if he wants to be here. And, hope to get some help. You can let Tyler Davidson walk. Let Anthony Rush get his snaps and Jonathan Bullard. So, yeah. Let's see. D. Sloan says, we have to depend on cheap vets and mid-draft round picks because we don't have the cap space to go out and actual vets in free agency. That's going to impact both sides of the ball. Well, you're going to get a little bit. That's the thing. It's like, what are you going to do to free that stuff up?
Right.
What are you going to do? Are you going to extend Ryan? Are you going to extend Grady? There's moves to be made. So what are you going to do? That's going to tell us a lot there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nick says 9-8, playoffs or not. Last winning season was 2017, 2018. He doesn't believe in tanking. I don't either. I'd rather win.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be tanking. I mean, this team is still going to feel like they can be competitive. But, I mean, let's just be honest, guys. Tank or no tanking, they're not going to have a stellar record this year. And they're playing low-level talent. Okay, they had the 8th easiest schedule in the league. But I will give Arthur Smith this and his staff this much. I mean, they won already more games than they won last year. And that's the most impressive for me. But I'm just going to be honest with you, JR. I don't see Arthur Smith getting a long extended time like Mike Smith and Dan Quinn were given to try to get his team right. I think he's coming in here, both him and Terry, on a short leash right now. I think I give them 3 years tops.
Yeah,
to get it.
Like I'm cool with winning 6 games, 7 games, 8 games, whatever we end up with this season. But I definitely want to see some fundamental improvement in year 2, because it can happen. Like you've had a full season now, a full off season, a full season. Like you can look at it like Fontenot came in kind of late in the game as far as the process went. He had to jump right into free agency and drafting and all that. Like he had to really hit the ground running, and he came in a bad cap situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. You've had time to adjust to that now. Like, now you need to figure it out. That's what you were brought in here for.
Yep.
You need to figure it out. You need to figure out how to man this team with enough talent to be competitive. Like, that's the task that you have been tasked with, and now you need to start doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll call it like it is. Bad team or not, with the roster that we have, winning the 6 games that we have won has been, pretty impressive. Is not the right word, but it's been nice to see.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We're gonna keep right on rocking. Let's says ATL Camacho says, "Wonder if we ever draft a running back in the first or second round." As of right now, I don't see a running back worthy of the first round. Early thoughts on the process, like Hassan Haskins, if he keeps, producing against Georgia in the bowl game and then has a good combine and everything else, like he could push himself into the second round, late first.
Yeah.
But right now he's the only one I see. But I've just have started that, so there could be somebody out there that I'm missing. Let's see. Eric Thomas says we left 21 points on the 1 yard line. That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, because that was one thing that Smith had been good at all year.
Mm-hmm.
If we got to the red zone, we were scoring.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people have just absolutely realized that there is no threat anywhere on this team. So,
it's
manning up everybody is enough to take it all away, kind of deal.
JR, what you said, you preached it. This offense goes as the offensive line goes. And you have to dumb down your plays because you can't open up the playbook because you don't have an offensive line that can run everything that you're used to running.
Yep.
So now the basic stuff that you were doing and had success on, it's on film now. People see all that basic stuff you was doing that was working, and they were killing you now. Their defenses are wearing that out now. It's not working anymore.
Exactly. Fred Butt says, which we're glad you're in here, Fred. He said, we're going to be like the 2016 Falcons. Everyone was panicking after 2015, and then 2016 a Super Bowl. Who knows? Like, that would be nice, dude. That would be super nice. Like, if they now go out and see, okay, look, this ain't working. We got to revamp this offensive line, bring me some better wide receivers, and blah, 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 blah. But you also got to think, like, Ryan is, what, how many years older?
Ryan is 30.
37?
36 right now.
Yeah, he'll be 37 next year.
Yeah.
So he's at least 5-6 years older. So, yeah, I mean, it's all semantics at this point. Willie Doc tipped us $5, which we appreciate.
Well, appreciate it.
He says, huge Matt Ryan fan. Next year we might have to be his last year though, just to get a fresh start. Merry Christmas, pound for pound. Many thanks for the content. You're welcome for the content. We appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah, thank y'all.
But I mean, look, at the end of the day, it could be a deal where, Ryan may not want to stick around. Who knows how this is all going to work out. Let's see. John M says, Matt's not going to say, I want to go somewhere else. He loves living here in Atlanta. He is not uprooting after all these years. He may not. I ain't going to sit here and try to speak for the man. I'm just saying if he did, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
That's all I think we were trying to say.
Yeah.
Mark Miller says, whatever this team does in the offseason depends on whether or not Matt Ryan wants to stay in Atlanta. Like, one of the things that you're going to see, like, if they extend Matt Ryan this offseason, that's going to tell you all you really need to know.
Yeah.
Just like last year, right before the draft, I said it once, if I said it 100 times, is if they restructure Matt Ryan's contract, that tells you all that you needed to know about drafting a quarterback.
Yeah.
They extended his contract. We drafted Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I needed to know.
Now I will say this, and I know fans are not going to be happy with this because they talk about this not being a draft take quarterback. I can definitely see this will be a situation that the Falcons will draft a quarterback in this draft. And it's because you don't have to pay a lot of money to the quarterback that you draft. And you can have him sitting behind Matt Ryan if you take him in the second round, because I believe we got 2 second round picks, right?
Yep.
I can see this being a potential situation where they do take a quarterback because of the financials will actually line up with what they can afford to do.
Right.
with a quarterback.
If it's a deal where somebody, and I haven't gotten into the quarterbacks yet, that'll probably be one of the later aspects that I get into. But if if somebody like a Carson Strong is sitting there in the second round, or somebody like Kenny Pickett from Pitt, if he's still sitting there, or even like a Malik Willis, if you wanted to throw into like that type of quarterback, beautiful deep ball, but his processing definitely isn't there, just very, very raw still. Like I could see them grabbing up one of those guys in the second round with that second round pick, just to have him sit and learn, because like you said, it wouldn't cost you a ton, but it'll be interesting to see. We've said it, and I'll probably say it 5 more times every week that we do live. This offseason, I hope y'all tune in, because it's going to be interesting to see how this thing goes down, because it's going to tell y'all a lot about how this front office and coaching staff really views everything.
Yeah.
Let's see. Matt Jones says, "What's up, fellas? What's going on, Matt?"
What's up?
Tony Lambert says, "It's hard for me to understand Arthur Smith's play calling when on the goal line and in short yardage situations and needing a yard. It's not hard for me. He ain't got the O-line to do it."
Exactly.
Like when you got a game early on where the O-line is imposing their will,
yeah,
he can call a game he wants to call, a la, Carolina Panthers game.
Right.
They were imposing their will. He called the game like he wanted to call. Even against Tampa Bay, they were holding their own.
Yeah.
And so he was able to call a different game. Against San Francisco, it wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so that changes there's a lot of things that can change the face of the game. And that's one of them. Let's see. John M says they won't beat the Lions this week. They lost some close games to good teams. We barely beat bad teams. It's going to be interesting, because like I said, it could be the best of the worst going at it. You're right. The Lions have lost some close games and have actually beat what is considered to be a good team in the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even though, me personally, I think the Arizona Cardinals are kind of coming back to reality a little bit from their super hot start. It'll be interesting to see how man, I need to find a different phrase. I find myself saying it'll be interesting to see.
If that's your phrase, you
just say it a lot. I don't know. Anyway,
hey, not shoot.
We're gonna keep on rolling. Keep on rolling.
That's you.
That's it.
That's you.
Hawks Goated says, if we can get Evan Neal out of Alabama, I would trade back and hope for Jordan Davis to fall to us. I think Evan Neal is he's the offensive lineman, isn't he?
Now, I haven't gotten into looking.
Yeah, you have to tell me who Evan Neal. The name is familiar. I just don't know where he's at in that aspect. Jordan Davis, he's an interesting one. Depending on how he tests out, I've seen him go all over from first to fourth.
Let me tell you something. Jordan Davis going in the top 10. It ain't even no. It ain't. Listen, because the first player I have in mind for Jordan Davis, and they're not even really using Jordan Davis like this guy, but this is another Georgia alum. Richard Seymour I see a Richard Seymour version in Jordan Davis. He hadn't even scratched the surface for what he really can be at the NFL level, as not only being a fantastic run stopper, but rushing the quarterback as well. And they're not even using him in that regard. But Jordan Davis, to me, can wreck a game.
Oh, yeah.
If he's given the opportunity to do so. And I think at the NFL level, he will be athletic enough to be able to pull it off and have some great numbers. Just my opinion. We're
going to look. There's plenty of players that are better in the pros than they were in college.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he could be that next guy. Let's see. Bridget Kelsey. Why people keep talking about Matt Ryan? He's far from the biggest issue. O-line, defensive, wide receiver, etc. Like, come on. I mean, but he's, again, wide receivers or not wide receiver. Quarterbacks make the most money, so therefore they're going to get the most attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the name of the game. He's the face of the franchise, regardless if y'all want him to be or not. And, so therefore he's going to get, the healthy dose of too much praise and too much hate. So like still at this point right now, he has the best passer rating of 20 plus yards passing in the league.
Yeah.
Which don't make no sense, Yeah. So yeah, it's weird to say that. Samuel Davis says the Falcons team is a mess. If they restructure Ryan or not, it's still going to cost them. Oh yeah, no, you can't. I don't suggest a restructure. I suggest an extension. Restructure just balloons it even more, because they done it so many times already.
Right.
Other than Lindstrom, they have no keepers on the offensive line. Jake Matthews is above average left tackle. He doesn't get the love that he deserves, but he is an above average left tackle. But outside of them two, I'm with you. Like,
yeah,
they could replace left guard, center, and right tackle, and I would be pleased. Rodney Brown says, wouldn't it be great if they traded Matt to a team that is a QB away, like Denver or Indy, give Matt a chance to go out a winner? I mean, you know what? If so. Like, I won't be mad at it. I won't root for him to win, but I mean, because look, through this whole thing, I know I get labeled a Matt Ryan defender and a Matt Ryan homer and all that other stuff, and that's fine. I'll tell you what I am a Falcons homer. Like, I root for this team, period.
Yeah.
If you ain't on this team, I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
Like,
I wish you the best, but
I'm not over here studying what Julio's doing.
Yeah.
Or Tevin Coleman or Devontae Freeman or yeah, exactly. Like I ain't studying him because
he ain't doing much.
They're not in the red and black, so I don't.
Yeah.
I don't really care per se. What they end up doing. If he goes to another team and wins the Super Bowl, great, I guess. But I'd much rather the Falcons win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I said years ago, if you told me right now, and I even said this a few years ago, you told me right now trading Matt Ryan would guarantee me a Super Bowl, I'd be at his house packing his bag.
Yeah. Stay consistent with that. Yeah.
That's been me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, if he ain't going nowhere, it's a shame that you got tampering when you can't, illegal tampering or whatever during the offseason. I'm texting Ben Jones right now.
Oh yeah,
Ben.
Hello, Ben. Ben, I need you, brother. I need you over here. I know you don't like Mike Vrabel. I know you like me. Yeah. Come over here and hang out in Atlanta.
And he would be the perfect fit because he's got that rugged attitude.
Yeah.
And physicality up front. You need that. You need somebody as a tone setter. And I mean, man, much respect to Matt Hennessy, but he ain't the guy.
He ain't the guy.
He's not the guy.
He's not the guy. That's obvious that he ain't the guy. So, let him, be your emergency O-line depth until his rookie contract runs up, and he can go, off to somewhere else and hang out with whoever. But no, he ain't the guy. Let's see. They call me Yeezy. Apparently really wants me to say, get rid of Calvin Ridley. Let's see. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times he typed that in chat. 11 times. So apparently he really wants to get rid of. You might get your wish there.
Yeah.
You definitely ain't going to see Calvin Ridley back this year.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think that you may not see him back in a Falcons uniform ever.
And you may not. I mean, maybe it's just a matter of he doesn't want to play for us anymore, and he wants to be traded in the offseason. I mean, look, he got lit up in that Miami game, which I clearly thought that he was going to be out after he got hit by what's his name? It's Javon Holland.
Javon Holland, yep.
Oh, he got lit up. He got sandwiched. And I think after that game right there, he had something clicked and said, you know what? I'm not. Yeah, I can't do it. I'm trying to get paid, and y'all trying to get me hurt.
Y'all trying to get me killed.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And I don't know. Like I said, I don't know, but it's gonna be. I'm gonna have to bite off you here, Jr. It's gonna be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Yeah.
After this offseason finally hits after these last 3 games.
Yeah, because you got 1 year left on his contract, so you could realistically trade him to, wide receiver needy team, as that and get maybe a fifth, fourth, something like that, maybe even a third out of it. And he can have a 1 year audition. Like, I think he would be perfect in a Sean McVay style system, out there in LA.
But I wonder, how does that work though? You picked up his 5th year option. So how does that's my part. How does that work? Because
from what I understand is you picked up that 5th year option. It's fully guaranteed.
Right.
So if you trade him, I think that I think you still end up having to pay him, if I'm not mistaken, but you would at least recoup a draft pick out of it.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. Like, that's something else that's on my list of things to, look into and ask a question about, like fire off a question to, either the Spotrac guy or whatever, like what happens if they were to trade him. Let's see. Q True says, we just need to figure out how to win close games and how to hold leads. Yeah, and I think you're actually seeing that a little more this year than you have in the past. Like, you've been able to win some close games. At times you've been able to hold on to a lead. So you've done that more this year than you have in the past years. So, Millie Mills says, get me Traylon Burks. Arthur Smith, Pitts needs help. He's a guy who keeps popping up as a Cordell Patterson 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a guy that I've got on the docket to definitely look at and check out. Nate says, we need some dogs on the line. Get some big bodies that don't take no mess and that can move people around. I'll say this. I want a guy like that Tevin Jenkins from Chicago who went at 4 or 5 different defensive linemen all at one time. Like, after they hit Justin Fields, he got all up in everybody's face. And I was like, that's the kind of attitude I'm looking for right there.
We ain't getting it. We don't
I mean, you got Caleb McGarry just kind of like nonchalantly looking at Ryan on the ground. And you got Jalen Mayfield with the, if you don't want your QB hit, take me.
Oh, JR.
Oh, that right there should have been a red flag right there.
Well, we took him.
And we are getting our QB killed. That much is for sure. Let's see. Iron Mike says, facts, bro. I don't understand people cheering on other teams. Yeah, I ain't never. That is something. Okay. All right. We're going to get into this for just a minute. That is something that absolutely makes me laugh on Twitter. People who are professed like, oh, I'm a Falcons fan, been following the Falcons since whatever, and you are hyping up every other team but the Falcons. And you are defending every other quarterback but Matt Ryan. And it's just like, are you a fan? I'm very confused here by what's going on. I'm not trying to say that you don't that you got to defend everything and that you can't ever criticize. But when all you ever do is point out the negatives and you never point out positives, it really does make me question.
Well,
it really makes me question.
I want to tell you right now, the first 5 years when we was winning, I was watching all the NFL games. My heart could watch. But when my Falcons don't do well, guys, I don't watch the NFL. My TV is off from the NFL. I'm going to something else because I love to watch a Falcons win or lose. But if they winning, oh yeah, I watch NFL games with you all day. But if they ain't winning, no, I ain't watching no NFL games. So I guess you can call me not a fan of the NFL. But I love my Atlanta Falcons. I don't care if they win or lose. Sometimes it hurts me when the way they lose, how they lose, who they lose to. But that's still my team to be able to go through those emotions with. And I've been going through with that emotion for a long time with my Atlanta Falcons, and I ain't planning on changing it right now.
Right. Yeah, like I said, like I said, there's a handful of folks that that I follow or that I'm friends with, I guess you could say, or whatever, converse with on Twitter, that just make me chuckle with their fandom. And I always get the same excuse anytime I point it out. Oh man, I'm just a fan of good players. Okay. Well, then that right there tells me all I really need to know. That you don't think this team has got any good players, because all you ever doing is dogging it, and all you ever doing is crapping on it, and your excuse is, oh well, can't I just criticize? Yeah, sure, but there's a such thing as constructive criticism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is what we try to do here. Like, we don't try to sugarcoat anything, but they, like I said, some folks just absolutely like hyper focus on the bad, and I'm just not that guy. Just not going to be that guy. And for any of those that do interact with me on Twitter, you'll see a lot of times I'm posting like positive stuff in a way of like combating it, I guess you could say. Anyway.
Mad folks.
The
Falcons take a quarterback in this draft.
Oh Lord, they're gonna have some people jumping off a bridge.
But it is gonna get shut down.
Yep. Oh, especially if they were messing around and taking one in the first. Oh, Lord, Twitter would just melt down, and I'd almost love to see it.
Their mind, boy, if that happened. Oh man, you gonna take a quarterback in a bad quarterback draft, and you wouldn't take one with the 4th overall pick. In 2021, you took a tight end.
Yep. People would definitely be hurt. Let's see. Willie Doc says, I think we won the Julio trade. It's really looking like if you want to put a winner or loser on it. YMOF Jamal says, what's up, Pound for Pound fan? What's going on, man? Glad you decided to join us tonight. Fred Butt says, Toby, what do you think of Zamir White to the Falcons? I don't know if have you done any homework on Zamir. He's on my list of backs to take a look at. You got any thoughts on Zamir White?
I can tell you right now, I'm gonna be honest, I have not gotten into any draft guys right now. I mean, just being honest there. I can't really say how I feel about him at this moment, because I'm still caught between watching the Falcons and teetering on the draft. But I can tell you this much. Get back with me after this game this week, and I'll be able to tell you all you want me to tell you about Zamir White.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're going to keep right on rocking. Route 417 says, he says, go Calvin and take Deion Jones with you. Oh, Lord. We already at that point. Let's see. That was pretty good. There was one question that I saw. Oh, Matt Jones says, with salary cap going up next year, is there going to be is it going to help the Falcon situation out any? Yeah, it is. Like they're already slated with where they're sitting at right now to have $14 million in cap space, which is more than they had last year. So that right there is already a help. Now, of course, they're going to make some moves and do some other things, but yeah, they're already like entering in a better situation than what they were last year. Let's keep going. There was a comment that I saw that I thought was interesting and is now gone, or I'm overlooking it. Oh, the real said Ridley did kind of ruin the season. I'm not. The reason why I read this, I'm not trying to like dogpile on Ridley, but that was definitely something that we haven't been able to bounce back from. Like, you felt decent enough about going into the season with Ridley as your number one and Kyle Pitts as your number 2 receiving option. Then you're going to mix in with Gage and all this other jazz. But when Ridley stepped away, that's, like I said, that's something that we have not been able to recover from offensively. And I'll be I'll be interested to see what does transpire in the off season. Like, how do they address that? Is it a deal where Ridley comes back, or do you trade him? Do you bring in some like quality wide receivers? Like, it's going to be telling, I guess you'd say.
It will, man. I'm curious to see what really the backstory is in the off season on the whole Ridley Atlanta Falcons thing.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely got to be more to it. I mean, well, we don't know. We can only speculate at this point. We'll see when we get to the end. With Fred Butts, I do apologize, man. Like I said, I have not been really getting into any kind of draft prospects or anything like that. There is still my guy that I have been looking at, but I'm not going to reveal him right now. I'm going to wait till after this week. Next week, I am going to reveal him, though.
There you go. Let's see. Millie Mills says, I like Brees Hall. He might be there in the second or third. That's that running back out of Iowa. I think Iowa State, I believe it is. He is. I got about 10 or 15 backs that I'm starting my draft homework with, and he's definitely on there. Next up that I'm profiling is Isaiah Spiller out of Texas A&M. Very interesting back, very fun back to watch with a lot of real good agility. So if y'all are into that kind of stuff, right now I've been displaying it on Twitter, but I'll definitely be doing videos as the off season commences. Let's see here. King 7 says, I love football, period. I'm with the good or the bad, but I'm going to speak the truth. When they suck and they stink, I stand on that. See, that's that sentiment. I'm going to speak the truth. Okay. All right. I got your truth. I got your truth. Nate says, let's see. He says, we even need a dog coach as well, but will we see a different coach next season? No. They're not walking away from him. And I think the only coach right now is getting fired after one full season, because that Urban Meyer crap, that is hilarious. Like, I knew that one knew that one wasn't going to work. Yeah. But anyway, he is probably, Texas coach. David Coolidge. I think they're going to have a resolution to the Deshaun Watson thing, and I think that's what kept coaches away from Texas this past offseason. Is the up in the air aspect of what was going on there. So I think if they get a resolution to that, then they're probably going to kind of like a Jim Tomsula deal out there in San Francisco. Yeah. So let's see. The Real says, I'm sympathetic to mental health problems or portion of Ridley's absence, but it really hurt this team. Yeah, I mean, both can be true. Like, they're both true statements. Yeah. I'm not trying to diminish mental health type stuff, but his absence really did, as far as the team went, hurt the team. Josh Gilman says, my favorite running back is James Cook. He's another one that I got on my list to take a look at.
Now, he's been my favorite, and I'm more familiar with him because he's, despite the other backs that we have, he's really caught my eye the most. And, he's got some similarities to his brother, Dalvin Cook. So I definitely like, from a scheme fit for the Atlanta Falcons, I think he would be great if, we pull the trigger on someone in the second round.
Well, let's see. If y'all want some semi-breaking news, congratulations to Kyle Pitts and Josh Harris on being selected to the Pro Bowl. So you have a rookie Pro Bowl tight end.
Now, I'm glad that came up because I was going to wait. But now since that came up during the show, Kyle Pitts, if I'm not mistaken, is the first rookie with the Atlanta Falcons in a while that has made his first Pro Bowl his first year.
Right.
Julio Jones didn't even do that his first year. Ryder White didn't even do that his first year.
Right.
But yet he's being labeled as a bust already because he only has one touchdown, but about to be probably the only 1,000-yard receiver for the Atlanta Falcons on his team. Go figure.
Chris Jameson says no AJ. Yeah, AJ Terrell apparently was a snub, and that is a big surprise because he has been a full-on shutdown corner all season. So it is surprising. But I think fan voting has a lot to do.
It does.
To do with that,
it does.
The fact that he, Trayvon Diggs has all those interceptions, is clouding that. Millie Mills says, "How the F did Pitts make the Pro Bowl? He only got one touchdown. I'm not mad. I'm just confused because
the one touchdown. Pitts is a star. He came out a star.
Right.
Okay. And the numbers that he is putting up, guys, is in line with the other tight ends. As a matter of fact, it's better than most of the tight ends that have come out into the NFL in a long time. Right. So because he already had that star potential coming into the NFL, that the politics of that worked out well for the Atlanta Falcons. And that's another reason why they took him. Marketing.
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, it's another deal. Like your Pro Bowl tight ends altogether were George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews, and Travis Kelce.
Exactly.
So in his rookie season, he is in the mix. Like he is being mentioned with those guys. Like the touchdowns will come.
Yep.
Like straight up and down, the touchdowns will come. Jatarius Dean says we missed on Michael Parsons. Kyle Pitts only got one touchdown. I mean, Parsons would have been fun. Yeah. Like I wouldn't have been mad at Parsons at all. Like, he's having an amazing rookie season as well. Right. But, and he would have been an amazing fit for Dean Pease's, A-gap blitzing defense.
He would have. But here's the difference. The marketing potential was not there with Michael Parsons. It's there because he's in Dallas. But the Falcons knew that they had to go out and see this. This is why it's great for them because it's a win for Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith why they took Kyle Pitts. Not just because Kyle Pitts was a great player coming out of college, but the marketing that they're able to get out of him from here on out into the future and how they build around him is going to be very important. You know now that you have the star that you drafted.
Yep. That's it. Yep.
And that's what this is.
Josh Gilman puts up a point that I think a lot of people miss on. Like the Pro Bowl is great, and it's things that you can like add to your mantle, so to speak. But like Josh Gilman says, Terrell is playing at an all-pro level. Forget the Pro Bowl. Like the Pro Bowl is a lot of like fan voting and all this other stuff, which is great. Like I'm not trying to diminish the Pro Bowl, but like all-pro is definitely something that I think the players strive for.
Yeah.
More than necessarily Pro Bowl.
Yeah, but once again, it's all got to do with the marketing.
Oh, yeah.
And AJ Terrell, as good as he is playing, if he had probably 3 more interceptions, because that's what the fan base is looking at. Why Trayvon Diggs is getting into the NFL, getting into the Pro Bowl is because of those 10 interceptions, and he's taking some of those to the house. AJ Terrell's numbers from a marketing standpoint to the fan base is not flashy enough. The reason why he didn't make it into the Pro Bowl. It's nothing to disregard his play. It's because of the marketing, guys. And this is what I keep saying this because this is why you take Kyle Pitts.
Right. And like if it was truly based on, just touchdown production alone, Cordell Patterson with his 10 touchdowns would be in the
Exactly.
And he's not. So yeah, it's like you said, the Pro Bowl is a popularity contest.
Right.
In a lot of ways. So Kyle Pitts getting in his rookie season, like that right there justifies the pick.
Exactly.
At least in the realm of the front office. That justifies picking him 4th overall.
Yep.
The fans can shake their head at it all they want to, especially us analytic kind of guys. But I mean, he's doing things that Hall of Fame tight ends have done. And he's on pace to be the best rookie tight end that has ever played.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the touchdowns will come. Let's see. Millie Mills says, so is Pitts the starter? Question mark. Yes, Pitts is the starter. He says, if Pitts is the starter, oh, you're talking about on the roster, it's probably Kittle, I would imagine. But if Pitts is the starter, the Pro Bowl will be his best game all year because they can't triple cover him. And that's part of it. It's like once, Pitts is not. I'm not worried about Pitts.
Put it this way: he's not an alternate.
Right? No, he's definitely not an alternate. That much is for sure. So going into this, we ain't really even barely touched on this Lions game. Do we? I guess we should. We're up over an hour, so we'll probably spend a few minutes talking about it. It sounds like DeAndre Swift will be back, and that could be a problem for the Falcons. I mean, no game's a gimme, but man, you should be able to beat the Lions. But it's at home, so who knows? We ain't won a home game yet.
Man, I'll say this much. The Lions are getting, if you look at statistics right now on their offense, they're getting production out of those guys over there.
Oh, yeah.
They just brought Josh Reynolds, a guy that we was hoping to get off the waivers, but we didn't qualify to get him, and the Lions did. He's already over 200-some yards there. With that team, he probably would have been a great fit for the Atlanta Falcons had we been able to get him off the waiver wire. But, they got him. But guess what, though? I mean, here's somebody we got to talk about. Somebody we had on this team that has more sacks currently than Dante Fowler. Do you know who that is?
That'd be one Charles Harris.
It sure
who
is.
Was a guy who I was. He is a guy who I was actually saying that I wouldn't mind keeping around.
Ain't that something?
Yeah. So
he gets over there and amasses 7.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 9 tackles for loss, and we let him walk out the door.
Let him go.
Typical Atlanta Falcons fashion.
The only thing I can say is that, this coaching staff was not the coaching staff that had him last year. So
that's true.
They didn't have them ties, and that was a guy that they felt like that they could get that production somewhere else, and lo and behold, they haven't. Oh, did I say that out loud? My bad. What is old Dante Fowler up to? Sack wise. Hold on.
4.5 sacks, I think.
Hold on. I gotta see what he's pro football reference. Where's my pro football reference at?
Yeah, go ahead and look at the numbers. Let's see what he is.
I got to. Let's see where he's at today. Or it's okay. Sacks. Hold on now. Give me this year he's up to look, he's improved. He's got 4.5 sacks.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, 4.5 sacks.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I guess we ain't got to worry about paying him. Unless he just absolutely loses his mind these last 3 games.
I think he gets a small bonus if he hits 5 or something like that, and then 7 and then 10 or something like that.
He might stumble into a half sack.
So he still got 3 more games to go to get some incentive.
Yeah, true.
But he's definitely not a guy that I'm going to be interested to be flying to come back here.
Nope.
In 2022.
No, he can go. He can go join Dan Quinn out there in Dallas, since that's who he wanted to play for. So yeah, we have got to get better, better edge presence. Period. I like what Ogundeji is bringing to the table.
Yeah,
I think he's going to develop into a solid guy. I don't know if he's going to be a 10 sack guy. He'll probably be a solid, 5 to 7 sack guy. But we need a horse on the other side for sure. To add to this stable. Let's see. Mark Turner says, I would still take a chance on Falele. how often does an athletic 6'9", 400-pound nose tackle come along? Not very often. So I have to look into him. I'm assuming that's a draftable guy. I think I've seen that name being, floated around. Somebody's talking about, Jatavius Dean said we should tank and get a top 10 draft pick, and then Bridget Kinsley follows it up with, "Stop with the tanking mess. No professional NFL team tanks." That's right.
They're not gonna tank. They got too much pride for that.
That's right.
And we know this. Come on, historically, the Falcons, when you probably want them to tank, they're not going to tank. I mean, they're going to try their best to win, and they still believe they can make it. Unfortunately, though, they got the Vikings in their way who won, and the Eagles who are in their way who won, and you got to watch the Redskins, watch the football team who is now tied with you, and because they hold a tiebreaker, they're already over you. So, hey,
exactly. Like, look, like, is it like, oh, you saying there's a chance? Yes, there's a chance, but man, it is getting super thin. Like, you see this right here. You see this. I don't know if y'all can really see. You see this paper clip right here. That's the margin of error you got right now.
Yeah.
The width of that paper clip. So, well, there is a bot in this chat that is just driving me crazy.
Get them out of here.
I'm trying, man. Like, I report them and remove them.
Keep coming back.
They just keep coming back. Anyway.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what though. They don't have a lot of sacks. They about where the Falcons is.
Oh, well, good. Maybe this O-line can have a decent game, and we can do some running, and we can play the type of game that Arthur Smith wants to play. Yeah. I would love to see it.
Well, I'll tell you what we better not do is if we're trying to run the clock out, get to the 1 yard line and score by accident like Todd Gurley did last year. But anyway.
Lord, you done brought that back up. You see him tweet out, like, talking about stopping on a dime or whatever?
Yeah.
Even he knows. He was like, oh, good Lord, I messed that one up.
Yeah, you did.
Fred Butts asks, JR, does he think if I think the Dean Pease needs to be fired? Says, I hate the 3-4 defense, and he has Dion out of position. Look, I don't think Dean Pease needs to be fired. I just think he needs guys that fits what he wants to do. Like, he's been proven everywhere he has been. And so I'm willing to, again, I ain't firing nobody on this coaching staff. Not right now.
Right.
Come back to me in 3 years, just like a draft pick. Come back to me in 3 years. It's been 3 years. Y'all can have Caleb McGarry. I'm done. Like he's done, in my opinion. Right?
Yeah, they got to win this game, though. They are. I mean, I don't think it can be any more obvious than what it already is. You cannot lose this game against Detroit Fighting Lions because let's face it, the Lions are playing for pride right now, and they looking to upset whoever might be trying to get into the playoffs, or whatever position you might be trying to get in the standings in the playoffs. They trying to ruin it right now. So we can't afford to allow a 2-11-1 team come in here to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and run all over us and beat us in our house. No, I just don't. I'm not going to really be too much of a fan of watching something like that happen.
No,
with a team.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm on. Dante Speed says it's time for Matt Ryan to retire. I don't know if you looked at the thumbnail for this particular episode, but that's what the point of soon enough was on there. Y'all are gonna get your wish. Soon enough, it's gonna happen. Yeah. Matt Ryan's gonna retire, and for y'all's sake, I hope we get a quarterback. Like, I hope we run into an Aaron Rodgers situation, or I hope we don't get a Daniel Jones type deal.
Right.
I hope we go from a Joe Flacco to a Lamar Jackson. Yeah, like, I hope there ain't no drought. I hope there's no drop off.
Yeah.
Because at least right now, whether most people want to admit it or not, at least Ryan gives us a chance to win.
Yeah.
And so that's what I meant when I put on that thumbnail. Soon enough, Matt Ryan will be gone, and we'll be left with, hopefully a stalwart replacement.
I hope so.
You know.
We'll see.
Let's see. A few more. We're gonna wrap this thing up. Bobby Boy Zone 3 says we need to give whole coaching staff a chance, guys. Last year, Dallas was horrible with their first-year coach, Mike McCarthy, and Dallas is balling now. And this is Arthur Smith's first time. That's kind of my point. We'll talk about it in 3 years for sure. Toxic Falcon says, did you just see Kyle and Josh Harrison are Pro Bowls? Yes, we've spent a good bit of time talking about that. Yes, we did. Sanchez says we need to add a dummy year on to Matt Ryan's contract, which will probably happen. If they extend it, I can almost guarantee you there will be dummy years. Iron Rain says being a shutdown corner means nothing if no one knows you're a shutdown corner. Teams aren't going to throw at you, so you can't get picks, and fans never know. Exactly. Like you're looking for stat-driven, true shutdown corners.
Right.
Aren't going to have that. Okay. Let's see. Bobby Boy Zone 3 says Arthur Smith actually has a better record than McCarthy had last year with the Super Bowl bound Cowboys. That's the thing. Like you can turn it around pretty quickly. Now to McCarthy's things, Prescott went down and that did kind of tank that season. So, but you could say that we've had a lot of things go down. Let's see. Last one. Well, not last one. CDX for Life says, P for Fee, what it do, rise up. What's going on, CDX? What it do, my man? Fred Butt says, Matt Ryan says he wants to play until his 40s, so no time soon. Yeah, we're going to see. May not have much of a choice if he keeps getting lamb-basted like he's been. Sanchez says, who do you guys want in the first round? Right now, somebody asked me that on Twitter. And right now, I want a game-changing defensive player. Whether it's a guy in the secondary or defensive end or what have you, I want a game-changing defensive player. That's what I want. Toby, any early
I'm going offense. I know folks ain't gonna like it, but I'm not going defense in the first round. I got my eye on getting this offense back to a semblance of what we needed to be, and it ain't there.
I got you. I understood. All right, well, gentlemen. Toby. I think we have done it. We've talked about this interesting team for almost an hour and a half. So we're gonna call it a night. I hope all y'all have an amazing Christmas.
Yes.
I hope you're able to spend it with family. If you ain't got family, I hope you're able to spend it with somebody that you enjoy. Just remember that, as corny as it sounds, I don't know you, but I love all y'all, and I want y'all to know that y'all are loved. And that there are people out there that care about you, and like I said, we appreciate all y'all joining us each and every week. I mean, appreciate the comments. The tips are nice. I'm not gonna say they're not, but we just appreciate everything y'all do for us, and we hope to have a fun off season coming up. So just keep everything peeled for that. As always, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128. That's GRIMM1128. Toby?
Hey, Toby D 1991. And I will say this, hey, Jesus is the reason for the season.
That's
and
it.
He's my everything. And hey, you haven't gotten to know him, please get to know him before you go into the new year, because he can be your everything too.
Yep.
I just have to get that off my heart.
Yeah, man. It's an amazing thing, and I would shoot if any of y'all got any questions, man. My DMs are always open. I'll help you the best way I can. But that is it for us tonight. We will be back live again next week to talk about this Lions game. Keep an eye on the channel for some shorts. I'm off all next week, so y'all may not see truck thoughts. You might see porch thoughts. Who knows? But anyway, folks, y'all take it easy, and we will holler at y'all next week. And as always, Falcons fan, man, let's just win,
Just win.